all these rejections from the middle Bollinger Band.
Resistance we're going to need.
If you actually see here, we get a
And we'll look for a healthy higher
I
low.
would not
don't have
be
the
convinced
pullback
to enter
across
a long trade.
Hey everyone, we're going to be looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, IOTA, and EOS. We'll start on the daily timeframes, as we should know what the weekly timeframes look like at this point. As the candlesticks just starting, I pay a lot more attention to the weekly candlesticks when they are halfway finished, at least in terms of the amount of days that have gone into them. But like the thumbnail says, today is a sigh of relief. It got a little hairy last night in terms of the bulls stressing a little bit in terms of the amount of the size of the pullback that we saw. So Bitcoin pulled back 50%. From the low of the bounce to the high of the bounce, we dropped back 50%, and it certainly looked grim. Definitely anticipated, at that point that the bulls would still form a higher low. It's just a question of whether they could form a higher low and see continuation right into a higher high, or form a higher low and then equilibrium with a lower high in a tightening range. Where we stand right now, the 4-hour time frame is where the most clear action is, in my opinion. I want to touch on the July or the June 6th chart that everybody's talking about. Yes, it's a really cool pattern. It's very nice to look back historically and see, that these things have happened on the same date time and time again. Is it still possible to happen? Yes, but I would not be basing any decisions off of that pattern. And the reason for that is that it's made its rounds on Twitter. Everybody knows about this pattern right now. And in my experience, the more people that know about certain patterns, the more they don't work anymore. And that's been my experience. And I honestly had a little bit of a dilemma with Canadian MJ pointing out the clear pattern: buy at the end of the day at the strong open, sell the next day with the gap up open. And the more and more people that got caught onto that, and it ended up being thousands of people catching onto it just by watching the videos and finding out on their own. And it then no longer works. And, whether we were the cause or we made it disappear faster, who knows? It's all speculation. But in my opinion, again, markets don't work when everybody knows. We start to price in the move. So the move would start to happen a little bit sooner, or the market's a lot smarter than that is basically what it is. And to think that we can just look at a pattern that's played out 10 times and expect it to play out the 11th time now that everybody knows about it, in my opinion, that's not a likely scenario. So I'm personally not putting any sentiment into tomorrow. And right now it's June 6th already in some places in the world. I don't care. What I want to see is a higher low on the daily and a higher high. That's going to give me the weekly confirmation for the higher low being set on the weekly chart. Because keep in mind, we're still not entirely confident this is our higher low. In my mind, it's pretty much the bulls have to make this the higher low or they're in trouble. But until the daily chart gives us the higher low and higher high, that's when the trend changes and we become confident. Okay, our weekly higher low is in. This equilibrium pattern is going to continue tightening, and we are likely going to wait until July for that break to occur unless there's some news behind it. So checking in on the trend, or the lines I should say, support and resistance. Right now the range on the daily chart to be watching is the low of 7,360 and the top of the move of 7,791. And where we stand right now, we're pretty much right. Well, actually, we're a lot closer to a bull break. So we're going to be watching for this follow through. And there's the volume on today's candlestick, definitely a mix of bear and bull because we did drop down to lower lows. The 4-hour time frame got really beat up. We saw 3, 6, 8 red candles in a row before the bounce really got going. And now once the bounce got going, the bulls showed up and there's a lot of volume behind it. So a lot more pullback than the bulls would have liked to have seen, but they matched it with bull volume. And it's nice to see a move where a couple hourly candlesticks take back, dozens of hours of consolidation. We're used to it the other way around. We're used to the bulls grinding it out and then an all-out dump taking that bull move out instantly. This is the opposite direction, which is nice to see. And we got the exponential moving averages as support. If we consolidate overnight, watch that level. But again, why I say the 4-hour time frame is the most clear pattern to be watching is, in my opinion, we're going to see an equilibrium where we have our high of the bounce, our low of consolidation, our lower high is going to be set likely below 7,791. Maybe we've already set it at 7,685, too soon to say. But if that's the case and we form a lower high, we're going to look to pull back and just form a higher low and watch this tightening pattern into tomorrow and potentially into Thursday as well, depending on how long it plays out. A couple other possible scenarios. The least likely scenario, in my opinion, would be to set a lower high and a lower low. And I say that because of the volume behind this move for the bulls and the fact that I am anticipating the weekly higher low to be set, and I am anticipating a daily higher low and higher high. And the other scenario would be that the bulls see continued strength and just make their way without an equilibrium right into breaking to a higher high. That's the most bullish scenario. In my opinion, equilibrium is the most likely. Second most likely would be bullish continuation, and least likely would be a lower high and lower low. So I'm going to be watching for the equilibrium. Again, I'm still in an ETH small swing position, and I will look to add once we get some more clarity. I would love to see a 4-hour equilibrium because that break would be clear, and we are still in consolidation mode right now. This is the lowest pullback we've seen now since the breakout while I'm talking. So let's see if we back test these hourly exponential supports, and we'll see where the bulls can form this hourly higher low. Again, volume is going to be a good guide. Increasing bear volume when we look to form the higher low on the 4-hour would be a red flag, but no red flags at this point. What was the signal for the bounce? We saw a low, lower high, continued rejection from exponential resistance. We did drop to a lower low on most exchanges, only by a small amount. And you want to make sure you're leaving wiggle room on your stops, because we're seeing this time and time again where we either see a bull break with no follow through or a bear break with no follow through. And that indicates the shift in momentum. So definitely give ample wiggle room with your stop loss levels. And this was an instance where we dropped to 7,364 and then only a $4 lower low. So you definitely want to be giving at least $4 below a support level. And hopefully not many people that were attempting this bounce with the hourly RSI getting oversold and the 15-minute RSI getting oversold. Hopefully people had enough wiggle room to not get that little stop out right before the break happened. So 4-hour time frame is what we're watching, and we'll see how it goes overnight. Ethereum daily time frame, much stronger comparatively, just because we did not give back 50% of the bull move from the low to the high of this bounce. And you could make the argument on both of these daily charts that they are bull flags still. I wouldn't waste much time arguing against you because, again, the 5-day bull move and just a little parallel channel of support and resistance. I don't know why my lines are that kind of line. Anyways, you get the idea. Just a parallel little channel of support and resistance. And the fact that we have a lower wick and a green candlestick makes it a potential bull flag here. So the 4-hour consolidation on Ethereum, again, hourly equilibrium setting up, and I'm watching the high, low of the pullback, potential lower high. Again, I'm not confident this is our lower high just yet, but I am confident that it is more likely than not that we do set a lower high, and then we'll look to pull back and form a higher low and a tightening 4-hour equilibrium. On the verge of a bull MACD cross on Ethereum 4-hour time frame. We like those bull MACD crosses. If we get the break of this equilibrium that's potentially going to form, that would see a cross, and Bitcoin is right there as well for that potential cross. So we've been highlighting, let's go to the hourly real quick on Ethereum. Healthy consolidation, no red flags on volume, back test of exponential supports looks to be occurring. So we've been highlighting the fact that there's many people, our members, pointing it out first to me, with finding altcoins that are giving us heads ups. And IOTA was doing it a few days ago, but it changes. And EOS did it today in terms of heads ups that give us bullish action. And it's not the kind of signal that, if I see EOS breaking out, I'm going to automatically buy Bitcoin. I need a lot of other things lining up as well, but it is giving us lead indications. And just to point it out real quick, comparatively, the bull move on Ethereum and Bitcoin, the real significant bull move happened at 11:45. That's when we had the big green candlestick. That's when we had the highest bull volume in a few hours. And Ethereum broke a little bit sooner. I would say Ethereum's bull break was 11:15, and then it followed through at 11:45 as well. So I would say Ethereum broke first 11:15, but you look at EOS, 15-minute time frame, when do the bulls start flexing first? And that's 4 in the morning. So not even comparable. And then we had another leg up here, but the huge bull move started at 4 in the morning, and that was giving us a clear bullish reversal candlestick on the daily time frame at that point. And from there, it took 7 hours before the other names really followed through. But what it does do is when you see an individual name in a similar pattern to the major names, and you see it make a move, again, it's not a sure thing, but it shifts our odds. So I've said this in previous videos over the past few months where it was just looking at the big three, where if, we have Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin all in the same setup, and one of them besides Bitcoin breaks first, we can give that as a little bit of an indication, okay, Bitcoin's more likely to break in that direction, but we still need to be patient and wait for that break from Big Daddy Bitcoin to give the follow through for that move. But we're going to constantly be watching. Again, we know markets are always shifting, so we're going to constantly be watching. If Bitcoin continues to lose its market value or its market capitalization, what's the word I'm looking? Market dominance. If we continue to lose that, and we continue to see the market cap shrink relative to other names, then, I definitely think that there is going to be a day sooner rather than later where Bitcoin is not the benchmark for the cryptocurrency space. And we'll just have to see when that happens. But again, there are clues all over the place. And this is where having a team definitely helps, because I personally would not be able to keep up and watch all these altcoins and watch how they're comparing to Bitcoin. And it's definitely beneficial to be working as a team. So IOT USD, daily time frame, low, high of the bounce. Again, the magnitude and the size of the bounce makes us very confident we're going to form a daily high or low. The bulls are trying to see that daily high or low form right now at 166. We need to change the trends for us to be confident. I need a 4-hour higher low and higher high to be confident that our daily chart has set a higher low. And what does that sound familiar? Because it's the same thing I'm looking for on the Bitcoin weekly chart. I'm not confident that the Bitcoin weekly higher low is in until the daily chart gives me a higher low and higher high. I'm not confident that the IOT daily higher low is in until the 4-hour time frame gives me a higher low and higher high. So hopefully it's starting to click now how we're applying all of these same concepts just to different time frames depending on what we're looking for in that specific setup. And right now, looking at IOT, bull break of the lower highs on the hourly, backtesting exponential support, and it's less of a 4-hour equilibrium setup. And the reason for that is we pulled back significantly. The size of the bounce does not lead. We didn't get anywhere near the bull breakout here. So whereas Bitcoin, if it were the same as Bitcoin right now, IOT would be up in the 190 area just because we bounced that significantly and we're looking for the potential for the range to continue tightening. We don't have that much space right now for IOT to pull back and form an equilibrium here. So it's just going to have to be a good old higher low and higher high if the bulls are for real and if our daily higher low has been established. So right now, the back test of the hourly exponential moving averages is on watch if you're looking zoomed in a little bit. If you want to chill out and not watch as closely, 4-hour time frames are giving a good gauge. And IOT looking good for the bullish reversal candlestick, but we do need a little bit more follow through on that 4-hour time frame. EOS, so same story in terms of we broke the bull trend on the daily time frame a bit sooner because we had the low, high of the bounce, higher low, and we broke to a higher high, and Bitcoin's still looking to do that, but we're looking for just another higher low. We're looking to keep the uptrend going now. So it was a downtrend for weeks and weeks. Now we had a higher low, higher high. Now we're looking for another higher low, and just to continue this change in the trend for as long as the bulls can keep it up. 1283 is our new higher low. What makes us confident that our daily higher low has been established? A 4-hour change in trend. We don't have one yet. We have a nice bounce. We have broken the lower highs. We're absolutely going to anticipate a higher low form, but we need the higher low and the higher high for the daily chart to be confident that our daily higher low is in. So 4-hour inside bar is something you could be watching as well. Hourly exponential supports, back testing. They've already held once and saw continuation. Now they're testing again. So that's essentially what it is for all 4 of these names. If you want to watch close, you're watching the hourly exponential. If you want a more broad scope of things, we're watching the 4-hour time frames and watching the big names, big 3, setting up for an equilibrium on the 4-hour time frame. And EOS could be an equilibrium as well. Depends on how much we pull back here. And the reason it could be, compared to IOT, again, magnitude of the bounce. Stronger bounce, more space for an equilibrium to play out. Whereas IOT on the 4-hour time frame, not as much space. Could happen if it stayed real tight with low volume, but just not as likely as the other names that have a lot more space on that 4-hour time frame. So we'll see if we get this 4-hour equilibrium. Again, there will be trades to be had, whether it's a bull break or a bear break. You could probably have some bears here arguing that Bitcoin is forming a 4-hour bearish reversal head and shoulders pattern. And if we were to drop all the way back down and give back this move, that would definitely be a potential case. But again, the size of the bull volume makes that not a likely scenario in my opinion. So we'll see how it plays out. Keeping my small position of ETH, it's the kind of position that I don't need to really stress over or micromanage. I can let it ride with lots more space because it is a smaller position, and I will look to add to the bulls if we see a 4-hour equilibrium with nice clear levels and then a clear break looking for daily continuation on the bounce. I appreciate you all watching. Thanks for the likes and the shares. Certainly means a lot. And love reading the reaction to the shipping video that I did. Honestly, a lot more interest than I thought there would be. So looking forward to continue covering that space. I'm just going through all those podcasts that I highlighted on that video and going to continue for the next couple months on the journey of learning. So for doing good things, couldn't come up with one yesterday, forgot it. But you guys had some really nice suggestions and a couple of those that I liked that people shared. One of our members bought a necklace for a woman going to her high school reunion or couldn't afford it, and gave her her purse as well. So that was a really nice one. We had another person, just in general life, I like this one as well, where they were talking about, when you're having a conversation with someone and they're just negative or ragging on someone or talking smack, and just directing the conversation away from that negativity. And that's something that I definitely recognize in my life. It's such a turnoff for me when someone starts, negatively talking about somebody that's not there. Definitely is just a very unproductive conversation and a waste of time, in my opinion. So like to move on from those as well. And we had other people, another member reached out and showed me this new app where they're connecting people to blind people to, either help them about, walk around. And I got to get the name of that, but he said he's going to try it out and see how it goes. And that would be interesting. I have no idea how many blind people are in a specific area, but if that would be useful, that would be something to look into as well. So a lot of people talk about the drum in the background, and I have not shared that I am in a band, so I'll give you a little clip of some of our music here at the end, and we'll see how this 4-hour equilibrium goes. I appreciate you all watching. I know you'll all continue to do good things out there. I will as well, and we'll see you tomorrow.